All right, so now that I have my two favorite photos from this shoot, I'm going to go ahead and edit them. And I'm going to use this app called Phototoaster. There's all kinds of great apps out there, but they all kind of have the same type of controls. This one I think I bought a couple years ago for $5.99. A lot of these controls, though, are available on your editor on your device also. So, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. So let's start here. All right, and so the first thing I did with this photo is I'm going to go ahead and lighten it a little bit with my exposure setting. Now, I'm looking at what's supposed to be white in the photo, which is the spine of the book and obviously the coffee cup. And I'm also looking next at the color and the white balance. So if you see under exposure it says temperature, I can go bluish to more of a yellowish. And I do want a little bit of a warmth to this, but it already was a bit warm, so I'm actually going to go a little bit cooler. And I'm not really going to worry about sharpening. Sharpening can be helpful sometimes, but if you use it too much, it starts looking like super over edited, and yeah, if you go the opposite way, it looks really soft. So I'm just going to go ahead and not use that. Maybe add just a touch of contrast. Okay, and so along with the white balance, there's also tint, greens and magentas. So let's take a look. If I go magenta-y, that feels a little warmer. The green starts looking sickly. So I'm going to go with a little bit of magenta. Now this is going to be different for each photo that you shoot. This isn't, this thing you do for every single photo. And while I'm here, I'm also going to play with the warmth just a little bit, just to have a look. So that's more of like a complete white balance. The whites are completely white, but because I want a warm feeling to this photo, a cozy feeling, I'm going to go with a little bit, take back the warmth a little bit. All right. The saturation, I tend to not add saturation because it starts looking really funky. In fact, the more contrast and such you bring to a photo, the more saturated it'll start looking. So sometimes I even just have to take it down just a nudge. And I'm not going to play with these. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I am going to add a little bit of a vignette. And so I'm going to bring it in and then take this softness out and maybe just lessen the brightness. I don't want it to be super obvious, but I do want, basically a vignette helps the eye draw the viewer straight to the middle of the photo. There is also on this app a blur you can add to the edges. I'm not really going to worry about that. Maybe just a tiny bit, but I want to keep everything pretty sharp. Okay, and now this app in particular does have some textures you can add, which in this case might be kind of fun with going with an artsy type of feel to add like maybe a canvas texture. But I don't want it to be completely overtake the photo, so I'm actually going to take it down just a little bit. It's just a little noticeable. I don't know. Maybe not. I want to keep it a little bit more real looking, so I'm going to forget the texture on this one. And on this specific app, you can also add some different like frame type stuff. I usually try to keep it simple again. Maybe that, just to have a little rounded edges look. That looks pretty good. All right, so when I hold down, it's going to show me the original and then the new version. And it's not, a huge change, but it's just those little changes. It does give it a little bit more of a professional feel. I think I do want my T maybe a little lighter, so let's play with that real quick. I have these brushes here, lighting brush, where I can make a particular part lighter. So I'm just going to lighten that up. And let's see, I'm going to undo real quick, see how I like it. Actually, I think I do like the darker T after all, so no worries. It's better to experiment a bit than, not knowing, right? So, hey. All right, so that's going to be my finished look for this one. And I'm going to go ahead and save that to my photos. And you can see from here, you can also post it to all kinds of different social medias if you wanted to. All right, next I'm going to go look at my other photo. Okay, and this one you could tell that it is a little bit dark. That white cup actually looks kind of like a light grayish. So I am going to take my exposure up on this. And being careful not to go too crazy because then it blows it out altogether, right? So slowly taking these sliders up. It's just the little things that help. Let's take a look at the temperature. Oh, that yellow looks kind of greenish, so that might be in the next screen where I play with that a bit. Contrast, maybe just a tad. And the shadows, let's see, let's take up the shadows just a little bit. All right, I'm going to go back over here, and even though I took up the shadows, I am going to bring up my black point a little bit to take out that grayishness. And I'm going to try bringing up the brightness a little bit more and that black point a little bit more so we don't lose that contrasty feel. Let's do a before and after real quick. Okay, not that huge of a deal, but it is brightening without losing detail. So let me go ahead and add a little bit of warmth, but as you can see, it starts looking kind of funky. So let's add a little bit of magenta back in there. Maybe pull this back down a little bit. All right, starting to look better. Maybe a little bit more on the exposure. All right, that's looking nice. And you know, I am going to crop this because in the upper left-hand corner here, I don't like that white corner, and I really don't like the upper right or left-hand corner. Can't do too much about the right side, but let's just do a quick little bit of a crop. So I don't really like that there. Let's see. And the great thing about humans and our brains is that, like, even though I cut off part of the face in the book, our brains recreate the rest, so it's not going to be like a huge issue. The same with the word Picasso here. It is such a well-known word in person that you can cut off some of it and people are still going to know that it was a Picasso book it's sitting on top of. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. All right, and that's looking better, so that corner's not nearly as distracting. Still a little distracting. I'm going to take it, that tiny white bit out even more. So let's pull it back just a tad bit there. Let's see. Okay, I'm feeling happier about this already. Okay, so let's see. Anything else I need to do with this? Maybe add a little bit more magenta, take off that weird sickly kind of look. All right, saturation. The colors look pretty nice. They're a little, let's see what it looks like taking them out. No, I'm fine with the saturation how it is. All right, and I'm going to add a little bit of a vignette. It's a little bit softer, maybe take it, the brightness up a little bit. Like I said, you don't want it to be super obvious there's a vignette, but just enough to bring your eye right to the middle, to your subject in here. And now one thing I can do with that right corner that's kind of bugging me is, let's see how this FX brush does. We do have a bit of a soft focus that I can use. So as I run, basically paint back here, try to blur it out just a bit. And all right, let me do an undo. Okay, do a quick undo here. Before, after, yeah, I like it. All right, and let's go back over here and add the same. All right, and so here's the before and there's the after. Just those really slight little changes really just help make this, give it a little bit more pop, but not going overboard so you're over editing your photos. Yay!